The Black Death, a name that echoes through history, a chilling reminder of a time when death visited every doorstep. Imagine a world shrouded in fear, streets littered with bodies, the stench of decay hanging heavy in the air. This was the reality of the 14th century. The Black Death, a devastating pandemic, swept across the globe. It left an indelible mark on human history. Millions perished. Civilizations were reshaped. It was a time of unimaginable suffering and profound change. This catastrophic event, now known to be caused by the bubonic plague, originated in Asia. It spread like wildfire along trade routes, reaching Europe by the mid-1340s. The disease, carried by fleas living on rodents, knew no boundaries. It affected people of all ages, social classes and religions. The Black Death was a stark reminder of humanity's vulnerability to the forces of nature. The Black Death was more than just a disease. It was a historical turning point. It forced societies to confront their mortality. It challenged existing social structures. And it ultimately led to new ways of thinking about the world. Join us now on a journey through time. We will explore the origins, impact and legacy of this devastating pandemic. The Black Death's origins can be traced back to Central Asia. Historical records point to outbreaks in the early 1330s. The plague likely originated in rodent populations. These rodents thrived in the region's vast steppes. Fleas living on these rodents carried the deadly bacterium Yersinia pestis. Trade routes acted as conduits for the disease. The Silk Road, connecting east and west, played a significant role. Merchants, unaware of the invisible danger they carried, transported plague-infected fleas along with their goods. These fleas often resided in the fur of rats. Rats, seeking food and shelter, often inhabited ships and caravans. This allowed the plague to spread rapidly across vast distances. The first major outbreak in Europe occurred in 1347. Trading ships from the east arrived at the bustling port of Messina, Sicily. Many sailors aboard these ships were already dead. Others showed terrifying symptoms. Buboes, painful swollen lymph nodes, appeared on their bodies. These buboes oozed pus and blood. The disease spread quickly through Messina, overwhelming the city. From Sicily, the Black Death fanned out across Europe with terrifying speed. It reached North Africa, Italy and France within a year. By 1348, it had invaded Spain, Portugal and England. The plague's relentless advance continued eastward, reaching Scandinavia and Russia by 1350. Within just a few years, the Black Death had engulfed the entire European continent. The plague travelled primarily along trade routes and waterways. Ships carrying infected rats docked at port after port. People fleeing infected areas unknowingly carried the disease with them. Overcrowded and unsanitary conditions in medieval cities facilitated the plague's spread. Cities became breeding grounds for disease. The plague ravaged populations with horrifying efficiency. In some areas, mortality rates reached 60%. Entire villages were wiped out. Cities became sparsely populated. The Black Death's impact extended far beyond Europe. The Middle East, China and India also experienced devastating outbreaks. This truly was a global pandemic. The Black Death was a terrifying and agonizing disease. The most common form, bubonic plague, caused excruciating pain and gruesome symptoms. Infected individuals developed painful, swollen lymph nodes called buboes. These buboes, often found in the groin, armpits and neck, could grow to the size of an apple. Other symptoms included fever, chills, headaches and muscle aches. Victims experienced extreme weakness and fatigue. They often suffered from vomiting, diarrhea and delirium. As the disease progressed, the buboes would rupture, oozing pus and blood. The Black Death was a horrifying spectacle of suffering. The plague could also manifest as septicemic plague and pneumonic plague. Septicemic plague infected the bloodstream, causing blackening of the skin and gangrene. Pneumonic plague, the deadliest form, attacked the lungs. It caused coughing, difficulty breathing and bloody sputum. Pneumonic plague spread rapidly through the air, making it highly contagious. Section 5. Social unrest and change, the collapse of order. The Black Death's impact extended far beyond its devastating mortality rate. It ripped through the very fabric of medieval society, causing widespread social unrest and upheaval. Fear and panic gripped communities. Social order crumbled as people desperately sought to escape the disease. The plague's indiscriminate nature shattered existing social hierarchies. Rich and poor alike succumbed to its grip. Nobles and peasants alike died in droves. This breakdown in social order led to chaos and instability. Lawlessness and violence became commonplace. People questioned traditional authority. The church, once a source of comfort and guidance, lost credibility as prayers failed to stop the plague. Some people turned to extreme religious practices, seeking divine intervention. Others abandoned their faith altogether. The Black Death triggered a crisis of faith and authority. Section 6. Economic disruption and transformation. The Black Death wreaked havoc on the medieval economy. With millions dead, labour shortages crippled agriculture and industry, fields lay fallow, workshops stood idle, trade networks were disrupted. The Black Death triggered a period of economic depression. The scarcity of labour led to rising wages. Peasants, once tied to the land, gained bargaining power. Some historians argue that this shift in the balance of power between landowners and labourers contributed to the decline of feudalism. The Black Death, in a way, sowed the seeds of change. The plague also spurred innovation. New technologies such as the printing press emerged. People sought new ways to increase efficiency and productivity. The Black Death, while devastating, ultimately led to economic and technological transformations. Section 7. Artistic and cultural responses to the plague. The Black Death had a profound impact on art and culture. The horrors of the plague found expression in various art forms. Paintings, sculptures, literature and music reflected the widespread fear, suffering and societal upheaval of the time. One of the most enduring artistic motifs was the danse macabre, or dance of death. This allegorical representation depicted death, personified as a skeleton leading people from all walks of life in a macabre dance. The dance macabre served as a stark reminder of death's inevitability. Literature, too, reflected the plague's impact. Giovanni Boccaccio's Decameron, a collection of novellas set during the Black Death, offered a vivid and often satirical portrayal of life and death in plague-ridden Florence. Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, written in the aftermath of the plague, also captured the social and cultural anxieties of the time. Section 8. Medical understandings and treatments. The Black Death exposed the limitations of medieval medicine. Doctors, lacking a true understanding of the disease's causes, were ill-equipped to treat it effectively. They relied on traditional remedies such as bloodletting and purging, which often proved more harmful than helpful. Some believed the plague was caused by bad air, or miasma. Others attributed it to divine punishment for sins. Without a proper understanding of contagion, efforts to prevent the plague's spread were largely ineffective. Despite their limited knowledge, medieval physicians did make some attempts to combat the plague. They experimented with quarantining the sick, burning infected materials, and developing rudimentary forms of protective clothing. These efforts, while often misguided, laid the groundwork for future advancements in public health. Section 9. Legacy of the Black Death, shaping the modern world. The Black Death, despite its horrors, left a lasting legacy on the world. It reshaped societies, economies, and even our understanding of disease. The plague's impact can still be felt today. The Black Death led to significant advances in public health. The development of quarantine measures, sanitation practices, and eventually the germ theory of disease can be traced back to efforts to combat the plague. These advancements have saved countless lives. The Black Death also had a profound impact on religious beliefs, social structures, and artistic expression. It challenged traditional authority, spurred social and economic change, and inspired new forms of creativity. The Black Death, while a tragedy of unimaginable proportions, ultimately contributed to the shaping of the modern world. The Black Death serves as a chilling reminder of humanity's vulnerability to infectious diseases. It underscores the importance of public health, scientific understanding, and global cooperation in combating pandemics. The lessons learned from the Black Death remain relevant today, as we face new and emerging health threats.